Hello, today I will be spreading some light on the natural rate theory. According to the natural rate theory, there exists an equilibrium level of output and accompanying rate of unemployment determined by the supply of factors of production, technology, and institutions of economy. That is the determined by real factors. Okay, so natural rate in the natural rate theory, on the basis of the Friedman, it represents an output level and an unemployment level. And in the monetarist model, you know, the monetarist model is determined by real supply factors. By real supply factors. What are the real supply factors? The real supply factors are the technology, the the force labor, the size of the labor force, and the capital stock, you can say. So, natural rate theory of Friedman is the equilibrium output and unemployment rate. Look at this. The natural rate of employment, this is this figure. You can consider this figure as figure A, and natural rate of output. You can consider this figure as figure B. This is part 1, this is part B. Now, along the vertical axis, we measure the real waves, and along the horizontal axis, we measure the employment level. In star is the equilibrium employment level, and MPN, that is the marginal productivity of labor. This is the marginal productivity of labor curve, or you can say it is the demand for labor. You can say it is the demand for labor, and this curve NS represents the supply of labor. But you consider one thing: the supply of labor is determined by the real wage. Is determined by the real wage, and there is another thing: the expected price is equal with the actual price level. Expected price level is equal with the actual price level. So this is the fundamental idea of the labor supply curve in the natural rate theory. Labor supply, labor suppliers, actually those who are supplying labors, they have perfect information about the price level, about the changes in the price level. So expected price is equal with the actual price. So on the basis of that, the labor supply curve is a upward rising supply curve. So naturally, the as you know, labor the as you know that W by P is equal to with the marginal productivity of labor. We can write in this way. Suppose W by P, W by P equal to marginal productivity, marginal productivity of labor, marginal productivity of labor. So W by P W by P is equal with the marginal productivity of labor. So this line represents the marginal productivity line, marginal productivity of the labor. Okay. Now, on the basis of this is the natural rate of employment. And in part B, this is the production curve. This is the production function. The production function is a function of capital and labor, and capital is fixed here. So, and labor is changing. So, so on the basis of these, on the basis of the part A, we get the output. The natural rate of output is y star. Natural rate of output is y star. So so this is the natural rate of output, and this is the natural rate of employment. So this is the Friedman's idea of the natural rate of employment and natural rate of output. But one thing I should mention here is that there is a difference between the classical economists and the monetarist. Classical economists said that in the short run there is no effect of monetary expansion on the real variables such as the employment or output. In the short run as well as in the long run, there is no relationship. There is no trade-off. There is no relationship. Okay. But Friedman, the monetarist, said that actually they do not fully agree with the classical idea, classical economists' position. They believe that in the short run, money supply or monetary growth has an effect on the uh, on the on the employment level, or on the labor, on the output level. So they believe, the monetarist or the Friedman believe, the Phillips curve in the short run. In the short run, you know, in the Phillips curve, there is a short run relationship between the unemployment and the inflation rate. There is a trade-off. There is an inverse relationship between the unemployment rate and the inflation rate. And Friedman or the monetarists actually supported this. But in the long run, it is not possible. Why in the short run it is possible? In the short run, it is possible because of imperfect information, as as Keynes believed. As Keynes believed, in the short run, in the short run, the labor suppliers do not have perfect information about the price level, about the inflation rate. They do not have perfect information. And on that basis, the supply of labor do have effect on the real variable, such as output and employment. Suppose money supply has increased. Suppose money supply has increased. Government takes there is actually there is expansion in monetary policy. So it will increase the demand. It will increase the demand in the goods market. And as a result of that, price will increase. price of the product will increase. As there is an increase in the price level, real wage rate will fall. As real wage rate falls, the producer will hire more labor. So employment will increase, unemployment will reduce. So you can say there is a there is a increase in the demand for labor in the labor market. There is an increase in the labor in the supply of labor in the labor market, because the labor supplier are finding higher nominal wage, and now they are eager to supply more labor. So as they are getting the higher nominal wages, they will supply more labor. So labor supply will increase and labor demand will increase. As a result of these, employment will increase and output will increase. So this is the fundamental idea behind the effect positive effect of money supply in the short run. In the short run. Okay. Now we consider the Phillips curve. Now we consider the Phillips curve. Look, this is the Phillips curve. Along the horizontal axis we measure the unemployment rate, and along the vertical axis we measure the inflation. And it's shaped like this. And this point represents a natural rate of unemployment, 6% natural rate of unemployment. Okay. And in my previous figure, this N star is the natural rate of employment. This N star. So if government has the expansionary fiscal policy, or there is an expansionary monetary policy, then unemployment will reduce from 6% to 4%. 6% to 4%. For example, you can say that government's money supply is 3% in an economy, and government has increased that amount by 2%, and that is now the 5% monetary growth is there. So as a result of this, there is a demand for goods in the goods market, and there is a demand for labor in the labor market, and that will reduce the unemployment rate. As I have mentioned that there is an increase in the price, as there is an increase in demand in the product market, the price of the goods will increase, and real wage will fall. As there is a fall of real wage, the farm or producer will hire more labor. Okay, so in that way, there is a fall in the unemployment rate, but there is inflation. 2% inflation is there. So if unemployment is rate is 2%, the inflation is 6%. So Phillips curve said that there is an inverse relationship between the inflation, between the unemployment rate and inflation rate. Okay, this is the Phillips curve. Now look, I have mentioned there is a perfect information, there is a imperfect information. So what is the perfect information, what is the imperfect information? On the basis of this the whole game is there. On the basis of this the whole game is there. As when the government takes the, there is a expansionary monetary policy, there is an increase in money supply in the economy. Unemployment rate, unemployment rate has fallen from 6% to 4%, from natural rate 6% to 4%, and there is inflation. This Phillips curve, in this Phillips curve, the expected inflation is zero. Expected inflation is zero. This Phillips curve is based on the expected inflation, based on the expected inflation rate is zero. Here, expected inflation rate is zero. They are expecting, the labor suppliers are expecting inflation is zero. So they do not have perfect information, but actually there is an increase in inflation rate by 2%. By 2%. They have lack of information. They have lack of information, as Keynes said. The classical economists said that they do not have imperfect information, they have proper information. But practically you can find there is a imperfect information. They are expecting that inflation rate is 0%, but in practical sense the inflation is 2%. Inflation is 2%. So in the long run, they find that the inflation rate is 2%, and they will ask for higher wages, higher nominal wages. And as they will ask for higher nominal wages, the Phillips curve, this Phillips curve will shift to this curve, will shift to this curve at the inflation rate 2%. They are expecting now the inflation rate is 2%. Okay, they are expecting now that inflation rate is 2%. But the situation is now the natural rate is 6. Natural rate of unemployment is 6%. Now again the government takes the shelter of fiscal money, expansionary monetary policy, then the unemployment rate will reduce to suppose again they have taken the you have taken the expansionary monetary policy to reduce the unemployment rate. Again the same situation will happen. Again the same situation will happen. So in the short run, there is a reduction in the unemployment rate or increase in output level. But in the long run, the unemployment rate is same, the natural rate of unemployment, with the higher inflation rate too. With the higher inflation rate too. So in the long run, the Phillips curve is a vertical line. Vertical line. I will clear it in my next slide. Look, in this slide, you can find the same picture but with number of Phillips curves at different inflation rate. 2%. This inflation, this Phillips curve represents 2% inflation rate. This Phillips curve represents 4% inflation rate. This Phillips curve represents 6% inflation rate. When there is a monetary expansion of money supply, unemployment rate reduces to 4%, and inflation is 2%. So this is the point in the short run. The mechanism I have mentioned, and again in the long run, they have proper understanding the information about the price level, and they will ask the higher nominal wages, and there is a unemployment rate 6%, because with, as the labor supplier asking for higher nominal wages, the farm will not produce more, and they will reduce the reduce number of labor from the production side. So unemployment rate is 6% this year. It again come back. Now, this is the situation with inflation rate too. Now, government, and there is again increase in money supply. Then the 4%, this is the 4%, 4% inflation is there, and 4% inflation is there, suppose, and unemployment reduces. So this is the situation, and in the short run, the labor supplier expecting that the inflation rate is 2% in the economy, but actually the inflation rate is 4%. As long as they do not have this information, there is a trade-off. There is a trade-off between the unemployment rate and inflation. There is an increase in output level. There is an increase in employment level. But when they have proper information, the perfect information in the long run, that there is inflation rate in the economy is 4%, they will again ask for higher wages, nominal wages, and again the unemployment rate will increase, and it will be 6%, but the inflation rate is 4%. So what is happening here? So what is happening here? The unemployment rate is 6%, but the inflation rate is increasing from 0% to 2%, 2% to 4%, and again the 6%. So so in the long run, only money supply has effect on the on the inflation rate, on the inflation rate. It does not have any effect on the real variables. So money supply does not have any effect on the real variables such as the output and employment rate or unemployment rate in the long run. But in the short run, there is a trade-off. There is a relationship with money supply and output. Why this type of situation is happening? Because just simply because the imperfect information about the market. So long there is imperfect information about the market, then there is a trade-off. So what is the difference? And now look at this. This is the CACEZ. This represents a Phillips curve, the vertical line. This vertical line Phillips curve is the long run Phillips curve. And this Phillips curve represents nothing that the expected inflation is equal with the actual inflation. So long there is a difference between the expected inflation and the actual information in the mind of the labor suppliers, there is a trade-off, there is an inverse relationship between the unemployment rate and the inflation rate. But in the long run, it will not exist. And in the long run, there is a equalization between the actual inflation rate and the expected inflation rate. So in the long run, the Phillips curve is a vertical line. Okay. So Friedman, the monetarist, takes shelter of this Phillips curve for getting the mechanism in the short run. This supported Phillips curve for the short run, but in the long run, there is no relationship Friedman's also said. So, as the classical said that in the even in the short run there is money supply do not have any effect on the real variables. Friedman or the monetarists do not totally agree with that point. They said that in the short run money supply do have some effect on the real variables. Okay, so I hope that you have got the point what I have tried to say, and you have and you have a proper understanding on the natural rate theory. So thank you for enjoying.